Okay, next we want to look at is our editorial tools that we have here and how we're going to create our dynamic edits with different hotkeys. So we have the select tool active by default. If you click on the flyout, you can see we have a slip tool, a slide cuts, and a slide keyframe. We're going to look at all of these. Of course, all of them can be accessed. I can turn my cursor into these tools by using a hotkey. Slip is S, D for slide, Shift D for slide cuts, Shift S for slide keyframes. But more importantly, and we're going to look at this, is you can activate these tools on a temporary basis so that you're not always switching the actual tool, but just accessing it when you need it. And to really understand that, let's first focus on the select tool. Obviously, we know the select tool selects things, okay? But notice what happens whenever you bring your cursor over different sections of your segments. Let's go to the very first frame. Let's come over here like this. And this is where I'll start doing some editing. As I said, we bring our cursor to a head or a tail. We're going to see that we turn into our roll edit tool. I go over and edit cut. Now we can start to edit the actual cut. And keep in mind, my cursor is red right now because ripple is off. And of course, as we all know, everything I'm about to show you, well, most of the tools that I'm about to show you, will have a different effect depending upon if ripple is on and off. For example, I come over to this clip right here, I bring it to the head, and I click and I drag, I create a roll edit, we're creating a gap. Pretty straightforward. Turn on ripple, I hit the R key, I go and do the same exact thing. Obviously, we are still rolling the edit, but everything after this clip is shifting and rippling down. I know you know this, I'm just covering all the grounds right now, okay? So let's say we're going to start doing our creative edits. What are we going to do? We want to trim our heads, our tails, move our cuts, change what frames we're using, and so on. So a typical workflow, I hit the L key to start playing this back. Okay, that clip's on there way too long already. I can tell you I don't like that. I don't like the way that starts. Okay, so yeah, I've given a pretty broad in and out when I did my rough cut. So what I would do is come over here. Let's hit the L key to a frame where I think about right there. Actually, I'll hit the K key. I don't want to create a cut, so Control V once again creates the cut. I can select this clip. Ripple is on, so I can delete this. I can just drag it to the bottom, delete it, or I can hit the delete key, and obviously everything's going to shift over. Sidebar, side note, sorry, let me go back to deleting. I'm going to undo this one more time. Now, what I did there, obviously, was I selected this clip, and I dragged it to the bottom of the UI, okay, to delete it. Now, we have two delete keys on the full-size keyboard for your Mac. If you're working on a laptop or an iMac, you're not going to have the full size unless you've added it. But on the full size keyboard, the two delete keys do different things depending upon if ripple is on or off. One is an extraction and one is a lift. The difference is even if you have ripple off, the extraction will shift everything as if ripple was on. So to demonstrate this, let's turn ripple off. Again, I want to reiterate. If you have ripple on, they both do exactly the same thing. It's only when ripple is off you will see a different effect, okay? So we turn ripple off by clicking on it. Now, the delete key that is above your / key, if I hit delete right now, you'll notice what happens. I deleted that, but the gap remained because ripple was off. Let me undo that. That's called a lift, by the way. I'll select this clip again, and ripple is off, right? I'll hit the delete key that is above the arrow keys, just to the left of my end key, and look what happened. Everything shifted over as if ripple was on, but it wasn't. So that's the difference of the two delete keys. The delete key that's part of your letter keys is a lift. It's going to lift it, get rid of it, delete it, and if ripple is off, you're going to have the gap. If I have ripple off and I use the delete key above my arrow keys, it's called an extraction, and it's going to delete the clip, but everything's going to shift over no matter what. This is actually what I wanted to happen, so let me just turn back on ripple. I'll work with ripple on for right now. And if I scrub back here and I hit my play again, okay, that's even a little bit too long, but okay, I don't like the way that this started. So let's say that at this frame, this is actually where I want the first frame to be. There's several things I can do. I can create another cut, I can delete it, or I can do a roll edit by bringing my cursor right to the edge of it. But I purposely turned ripple on just to show you this. Now, if I do a roll edit with the ripple activated, this isn't really what I wanted to have happen. So let me undo that. So I want to disable ripple, but I don't want to go and turn it off permanently. I just want to temporarily turn it off. So I hold the Alt key and then I click and I do a roll edit, but I'm now not in ripple mode. So I can then create the cut as I want it to be. And then when I release the cursor, I still have ripple on and I have that gap right there. That's okay, because remember what I said, those gaps are actually objects, if you will. Think of it as an empty area with nothing, but it is something you can actually edit, add color corrections, add effects, and delete. So if I select this gap area, you'll see it reads that I have a gap selected. Ripple is on. I hit the delete key. Everything now shifts over because I deleted the gap. Now I can use my up arrow key to go back to the first frame and hit the L key again. Hit K. I want it to stop here. Now let's say I want to take the tail of this clip and move it to where my positioner is. So the hotkey for that is Shift E up arrow. So I hold Shift E and up arrow. It will trim the tail to the positioner. So once again, Shift E up arrow trims your tail to your positioner. Now if I want to trim my head of a clip to my positioner, let's say this clip right here, I really want the head of this to be here. I'll hold the E and hit the down arrow. I can select this gap right here, just hit the delete key, and everything's going to shift over for me. So to reiterate, to shift your head to the positioner, hold the E key and hit the down arrow key. So that's two very important hotkeys to move the head or the tail to the positioner. Now I want to point something out here. Remember, we're using hotkeys. We're not using our mouse. We're not using our tablet. I'm not clicking and selecting a clip to designate that the hotkey should affect that clip. So what is telling Smoke that this is the clip I want the hotkey to affect? Again, it is this yellow focus point. This is critical. When you are doing dynamic editing, this yellow focus point is going to tell Smoke which clip I want it to affect. And notice, as I play back or scrub through, as this little yellow focus point goes to another clip, also that clip is then highlighted. This is how Smoke knows which clip the hotkey should affect. So always be aware as to where that focus point is. Right now I've just got a one layer edit, so it's pretty straightforward. But if you had a multiple layer edit, when you're doing your hotkeys, when you're editing, that focus point is going to determine which clip is being affected. Except for when you select a clip. If you manually select a clip and it is highlighted and the focus point is on a different clip, the hotkey will affect the selected clip. So let's look at that while we discuss trimming your head and tails to in and out points.